2.
Well, welcome to another episode of our Arrival podcast here at Stanwood Foursquare, where we're celebrating and recognizing the generosity of our church. Every year at the end of the year, we do a Christmas giving campaign where we ask to redirect some of our spending to the most poor and vulnerable people around the world. And sitting across from me is a very handsome young gentleman named Kedrick.
Thank you.
And Kedrick, you're a junior in high school, correct?
Yep.
Junior in high school. And we want to just take the next few minutes and kind of have a conversation of you got to be on one of our Mexico house building trips just here in January of 2026, February of 2026. Ties behind was it February or January?
It might have been January.
It was the end of January, beginning of February. Yeah, we're recording this here in March, so we can't even remember what happened a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I think it's one of the greatest trips we gave church in 2025. You gave enough money for 4 homes to be built. And so we got to send a youth team of 30 middle school and high schoolers and a bunch of adult leaders to go build 2 homes in the beginning part of 2025. And Kendrick, you got to be a part of that trip. So maybe before we get into that trip, just tell us a little bit about you, where you're at, age and stage of life. You just got done with track practice, so you're telling me you're a little sore before we push the record button. But tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm 16. I'm a junior in high school, and I've been pretty involved with the Foursquare here for about a little over a year, I'd say. And it was at one of the youth worship nights that was also just kind of gifted by the funding of the church, and we were able to provide like a bunch of pizza there on that night, so it really pulled a lot of people in. But
pizza, and youth, it still works.
Yep. But it was that night, and I went over to the edge of the stage just to kind of have some personal prayer time. And one of the leaders there, his name's Jed. Shout out to Jed. But he just laid his hands on me and prayed for me for a little while. And it was like ever since then, I felt like what I talked to Ty about it after was he explained it to me as the overflow of the Holy Spirit. And it's something I'd never experienced before, and I haven't since. But it's one of the things where it's like it happens and you'll never forget what happened. But ever since then, it's like I've been all in with the church, and I started picking up my Bible more, and I realized like the importance of this driven life and this purpose that I have now. And so that's kind of like since that point about a year ago, it's been who I am. Before that, I was completely opposite as the kid that run around and knock on doors and hide in the bushes and spray paint.
You can still serve Jesus and knock on people's doors. So just do it with love. And leave a Bible behind. Yeah, I don't know. No, but man, Kendrick, it has been awesome to watch you grow. I get to kind of see often what's happening in people's lives. And I've watched you, even in this last year, you're a young man, but be transformed of what God's doing in your life. I see that you're a leader, like you can gather people. You're a young man of influence. I know you're serving at Jesus Club at Stanwood High School too, and being a part of all those things. So I think you're even like set to be in the leadership team next year, right? Like to be involved in the next year.
That's the plan. It's not in my hands.
There you go. Well, that's exciting, and it's been fun to watch you grow and follow Jesus. And man, in the kingdom of God, it's not about how old we are. It's just about our obedience to the Lord. And so being a part of that, watching you be a part of our student leadership team, and then you probably started hearing about Ty, had this transformational moment, start talking about this youth Mexico trip.
Yep.
And what did you think about that? Or how did you think like, hey, maybe that's something I want to do?
Well, prior to the youth one, there was another Mexico trip right before that Jed had went on.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to go on that too. And my dad had always talked about he'd went on these trips and he never found it so significant himself.
Oh.
And it kind of gave me this urge of like, what could I get from it? Or what could I go and learn that then I could show my dad, like, this is what I got from it. And like, it's big to me. So I think it was a lot of, Jed came back and he had cool stories. My dad went and he didn't have cool stories. So I had this interest of what is it really like and what is it like to change your heart posture going into it? Like maybe my dad was at a different state when he was younger than Jed was going at it this year after he's been like more involved and spiritually mature.
So great, Kedrick. I never thought I'd give this warning. Go on a missions trip and it might not be a great experience. Or go on a missions trip and it might be a great experience. Yeah. But that's the risk, really. I think that's the reality of it. When we do something that's out of our comfort zone that we've never done before, it might be really awesome.
Yeah.
And it might not.
Exactly.
We don't really know. So yeah, Jed's one of our high school leaders. Man, great guy, leader in the church. And so Jed kind of started whispering in this ear that said, hey, maybe this is something you should do.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you go home and tell your parents, like, hey, I'm thinking about going to Mexico. And were they just like, we're so excited, Kedrick, here's a bunch of money. And yes, we'll sign all the permission slips and you should just go. What was going on in their hearts as they started hearing about you wanting to go build a home for a family in Mexico?
My dad was the biggest wall for me. His immediate thing that he went to was, why don't you guys take all the money that you're taking to go on the trip and donate it directly? Because his big thing is it's selfish for you to go and do these things. And that was like a huge, what do I do with this thought? Because in a way, almost struck my mind as that's kind of true. And that was like a big wall for me to kind of navigate around too.
Yeah, I think your dad is a wise man. And I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
That people ask about missions is like, is this worth it? Because sometimes it's not the most efficient way to do things. Yeah, for sure. I did not think that was going to be part of this question, but hey, that's really great. I love it. But right? it's an honest barrier that people often have is why would we do that? And so like beyond that, were your parents nervous about you traveling? Like, had you been out of the country before? Had you had a passport?
I had to get my passport. That whole thing was stressful, and going up to get it with me, he didn't want to go, and he's working nights, so he's taking 3 hours off of sleep.
Inconvenient thing, to get a passport.
And it was just like a huge process that he didn't want to go through, but just seeing him sacrifice his time to allow me to do something that he knows I was passionate about was huge
great.
too.
And then, this trip, I think the time you went was right about $1,000 for that $1,000 covers your flight from Seattle to San Diego, and then your room and board while you're there in Ensenada, Mexico. So how does a 16-year-old kid come up with $1,000?
Well, I was fortunate enough that the giving from the church was able to cover mine, but I've heard stories of a lot of the other kids that went, and some of them had a struggle, and there was a couple of them did fundraisers to get some extra money, and if they made extra, like some of that got put towards me being able to go too, which was really cool. Okay,
awesome. Yeah. Good deal. So, you're going, your parents, you're like a classic Stanwood kid, probably hadn't traveled around the world.
No.
Hadn't had your passport. Have you been to Canada?
No, my dad used to go all the time fishing. Yep.
There you
go.
Where
I want to go.
So yeah, getting a passport, those are just big things to international travel. So I think one of the things that I think is really important for anybody, in fact, Kendrick, this is a really interesting thing. When my wife and I were called to pastor the church here 18 years ago, I had spent the first about 15 years of my church life on staff of fairly large churches of multiple thousands of people. And I thought that would be the trajectory. And when God called us to Stanwood, I'm like, a little old town. What am I going to do here? Yeah. But it's been the greatest thing ever. But I remember the Lord said this to me. He says, Tim, I haven't called you to necessarily pastor a big church, but I want you to do is I want you to pastor big people. And over the years, what I've learned is one of the things of having a worldview that's based on the scriptures is a book that's filled with God reaching all tribes, tongues, and nations around the world. Even Jesus' command in Matthew 28, go into all the world. It doesn't say like go to Camano Island and Stanwood and then you're done. It goes into all the world and preach the gospel. So there's this mandate to have a global international perspective. And I have seen one of the best things that we can do in our discipleship journey is get an opportunity to travel, to see a bigger sense of the world. And so you get to go, you get on a plane with a bunch of high school and middle school kids and some great leaders. I think we met here at the church at like 3:30 in the morning. It was early. The flight was out early. I remember that morning. You were already hyped up on Red Bull, and at 3:30 in the morning, you're like in the parking lot, like, Liberty, Tim, what's up, man? I'm like, dude, chill out. It is early. I'm here to pray for you. But
gotta wake you guys up.
He was all ready to go. So you were highly energized and ready to go. And so you guys boarded on a plane. I'm sure your parents were not only worried about just, some of those concerns about missional stuff, but also like, were they a little worried about you traveling to another country? And
yeah, well, So my dad's like huge into the politics, and his main concern was, what's going on with Mexico and America, and like all the border patrol and the way that things are going there. And he didn't want me to get stuck there or have something like huge in the world happen while I was there. And that was something he kind of just had to let go of and overcome. And his other concern was I wasn't bringing my phone, because on some of my other like trips to camp and stuff, I like to be disconnected, because I find my phone is a huge barrier that I put in front of myself. And I find that if I put my phone away for a day, I'm not so busy anymore. But if I have my phone, all of a sudden my schedule, I tell people like, I don't have time for that. But as soon as the phone's gone, it's like, I'm bored.
Well, if you're older, listen to this. This is the hope of the future. If you think like young people are saying no to technology, this is pretty amazing, because they're realizing the grip that it has on our life. So have hope, people. The next generation, they're like, this is just a tool. It's not a tether to my life. And but for parents, like, we're used to knowing where our kids are at, having the tracking device, all that stuff, and be like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's scary, and it's a lack of control. And even going on a trip when you're not in charge of, and you like when you go on one of our trips, one of the things we ask you to do is, hey, we keep all our passports together, because when you travel in a group, it's much easier to go through security, all those kind of things. And that's hard to relinquish control. Like, I've traveled all over the world, and when I go with a group, I'm like, no, I want my control. But I'm like, no, this is what it means to be part of a team. Right. Is surrendering. There's an individual part of the trip, but there's also a corporate part, and there's something to that. So before you guys went, you guys got to have a bunch of meetings, right? Several meetings. Yep. And in those meetings, we talk about what to think about, what to prepare. Did you find that helpful for you as you're getting ready to go?
Yeah, I did. I think the most helpful one was it was one of the last meetings where we got the packets, and we got to read kind of about the family that we're helping and what their life looks like right now, and just seeing kind of the state of life that they were stuck in, or the way that they were living, being able to pray into that and pray for the groups going, and just that alone kind of set my heart posture different than I had ever had it before, especially with like the insight of the older people in the group that are going, and they've gone on trips before, and just sharing their experiences from the past, and it kind of just all set up for an experience that I haven't heard from Jed or my dad or anybody else that's went to Mexico.
That's great. So you get on a plane, get up early in the morning, drive down. It's a fairly easy flight, right? We fly from Seattle to San Diego, San Diego's a pretty nice place to land, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a 2.5 hour flight. And then you get off the, so for somebody who hasn't gone, right, you get off the plane in San Diego. So you're not even flying internationally.
Not quite.
And then what happens?
Well, then go get some In-N-Out. It's good. Yeah. So the YWAM base who we partner with, they pick us up in a van or in some vans or a bus. And then the first thing you do is you go to In-N-Out. You get some food.
In-N-Out hamburgers, which is a classic. It used to just be California. There's one in Washington now. But what do you know what your menu item that you order is?
No, not at all.
Okay, so this is the next time you go. Here's what it is: animal or double animal style. So animal style is this: they melt the cheese and the onions together and put it on your burger. It's a game changer.
Is this like luxury menu or?
Oh, well, there's a bunch of like In-N-Out's got a whole like off menu like secret language. So
all right,
remember animal style, because you can get your fries that same way too, where they fry your onions and they melt cheese in it and then they'll put it on top of your fries.
I saw someone get that. Yeah, I was looking at the menu, it wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's and then there's rabbit style where it's like no bun and just they'll wrap your burger in lettuce. So there's a whole we could do a whole nother podcast on the In-N-Out burger secret menu.
I might have to down the road learn a little more. What does In-N-Out have?
Yeah, one of the fun things that years ago we took our family to that In-N-Out burger, and there's pigeons all around. Do you remember the pigeons that were all outside?
No, not really.
Okay, you should remember. I was catching them by hand and freaking people out. I caught pigeons. I was like, okay, that's a whole other thing. This is about you, Kedrick, not about me.
I want a video of that one.
Okay, yeah. You may not know, I've caught pigeons in all different parts of the world. It's kind of a fun hobby for me. I let them go, but I just want to catch them to know that I can catch them. So you get to In-N-Out Burger, you're filled with greasy, delicious American cheeseburgers. And then you get back on the van and you drive across the border. How was going across the border for you?
That was really smooth. I expected it to be really hard, especially like being in a van with a bunch of people. But we just drove through. They talked to the driver, and it was cool because the driver's like bilingual.
Yeah.
So it's really easy for him to communicate with them. They seemed like they kind of knew what he was doing pretty well, and it was going through just fine. We didn't stop us or really look through much. It just drove through.
For sure. Yeah, I've had that same experience.
Yeah.
And when we're going with YWAM people, they have a great reputation. They bring thousands of people down, up and down the whole Baja Peninsula to build homes. So most of the border agents are familiar with them and know the kind of people that are coming. So it's pretty easy and smooth. Yeah. And then you drive across the border, and this is the first time you've been international anywhere.
It was.
Did you notice like things were different right away?
Yeah, there was a giant Jesus there. That was cool. That was a little bit down the road, though.
Yeah.
Well, we were driving to the YWAM base. There was a bunch of like kind of border stops where you got to pay to keep going, which I thought was kind of interesting because I'd never seen that around here.
Oh yeah, they're toll booths. They're like they're all over the world, like where you pay tolls to drive down the highway. So
yep. Well, that was totally new to me. I felt like one of the truckers that got to drive up the side of the highway and go check and keep going. But
so they're toll roads that take us down there. But you didn't have to pay about it. Your driver took care of that.
Yep.
You go through it. So it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive
about 2 hours.
from San Diego to Ensenada. Is it a beautiful drive?
It was. Yeah, as long as you're awake.
As long as you're awake. Did you crash out from being up at 2:30 in the morning, hyped out on Red Bulls?
A little bit. I tried to stay up, but
it finally hit. Well, it's beautiful as you drive down.
It puts you to sleep.
It's a pretty easy road, not super curvy, but you get to see the Pacific Ocean there driving down the Baja Peninsula.
Yeah.
And then after about 2.5 hours, you arrive in Ensenada. Mm-hmm. And the YWAM base, which stands for Youth with a Mission. They have bases all over the world. You arrive, get out of the bus, and you guys were like some of the first ones in that newly remodeled building, newly built building. And how close is it to the beach?
It's about 20 yards away.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
it's right on the beach.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I got to see some pictures. I haven't been there since they've done this new project, but you walk in, you're greeted. Did they felt like they answered the questions that you had about where you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to go to the bathroom, how you're going to drink water?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. They kind of just toured you around. They showed us, this is where you're eating. They went upstairs. They showed us some of the stuff like that we're not going to be involved in, but what they're working on.
Yeah.
And it was cool because the first day that we were there, we were lucky enough because they were just starting like their schooling and stuff for people. Mm-hmm. So they had like a big worship night. And that was something I'd never experienced either because they had translators where they'd sing half the song in English and half of it in Spanish.
Yeah.
So that was like, whoa. And
they don't do this in Stanwood.
Right? Yeah, I never heard this before.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see like such a diverse group of people get together to worship the same God and with the same beliefs. And just all the emotion that was all around the room, like no matter the language barrier, like it didn't matter. Yeah.
That's when we look at the end of Revelation, like the end of all things, that's what heaven's like. That's what it's described at is all these people worshiping gods in every tribe, tongue, and language, singing the same song to a God in all different kinds of languages. Yeah. And so in that kind you get to see a glimpse of heaven.
It was.
Of this big, broader sense. And I think that's one of the things that's great about international travel, especially missions travel. And I know some of the practical things like, is it a good investment? And we do it. But I think that's the stuff that really, man, is the intangible things of having a bigger view of the world. And it changes how you read the scriptures. It changes how you love your neighbor.
Yeah, for sure.
And you recognize God's a lot bigger than I thought he was. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you get to Ensenada. The rooms are pretty nice, right?
Yeah, they were really well put together.
Yeah. You think you're going to be roughing it in Mexico?
I don't know. I kind of thought it'd be a little less, but it was like nicer than anything I've been in here. So.
They've been improving anything you've been in here. That's good in the U.S. They've been remodeling that base in Ensenada over the last few years, and it's actually so nice. It's almost a little uncomfortable, but it's beautiful what people have given generously to make that happen. And then so. Was the food pretty good there?
Oh man, they set us up. Yep. I mean, first day we got there and we had like little gift bags on our beds with candy. So it was a little treat in, then dinners, tacos, and they provided breakfast and dinners. Then we'd have lunch out.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool too.
In my experience, every time the food is excellent.
It was, yeah.
It's always good. They prepare it safely. I know a lot of people when you worry about going to Mexico, things like Montezuma's Revenge and getting all sick and all these things. I haven't got sick from any of the food. It's always super delicious.
Right.
Really amazing. So you experienced that same thing too?
Yeah, I heard a lot about, like, from my stepmom, because she's a nurse, is like, don't eat the lettuce or watch out for this and that. And I went there to the base and I had lettuce and I had tomatoes on some of the things.
Yeah, they wash all that
Yeah.
with filtered water. So, like, you're in a place where they understand that they're taking care of that. Food's prepared really wisely.
Yeah.
And so good. Yeah, I've always probably eaten more than I should have down there on the missions. I thought I was going to rough it and I eat good food and sleep in nice beds.
Yeah.
And yeah, those kind of things. Okay, so you get up the next day and then you're going to get out and you're going to go to the home site, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so had 2 teams and you go from the big vans to smaller vans, right? They're there to pick you up in the morning.
Yeah.
You get broken up with your team and then you get on the bus. And how far did you guys have to drive from the base to your home site?
Not far. For my group, it was about half hour, 45 minutes. So
You really got to kind of drive through the city though, did you see?
that was totally different.
Yeah. What was your impression of kind of being in your first international city driving
I
around?
was terrified.
Really?
Yeah. It's like there's no stoplights and it's just stop signs with 4 lanes everywhere. And these guys are just turning into each other.
Yeah,
and
they figure it out.
yeah, so I was just trusting the driver like he was God. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Trusting the driver like he's God.
Yeah.
There you go. That's Missions Travel 101.
It was rough. Then
Hendrick, I want to take you to other places of the world. That's like one of the most sane international driving experiences.
I don't
ever.
drive like that.
Okay, it's good. I love it.
That was bad enough. And then
Okay.
we went down the road.
But you made it safe, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, good driver.
Okay.
He was solid.
So you drive from the base. They take care of you. They know the city. You're not going to get lost. Would you have been able to find that place without your driver?
Absolutely not.
No. And then YWAM sends you with a translator, so you know somebody who speaks the language, understands things. So you're not even. So you're safe. You're covered. And you arrive at a build site. And at that build site, what do you walk out the door and what do you see of the door of your van, your bus? What do you walk out to?
Not much. I mean, imagine like a porta potty on steroids. It's just kind of like a big shack with a little outhouse on the side. And then we had like this empty spot in the back behind the house where they had laid a concrete foundation where we were going to build the house on.
Yeah.
But that's kind of one of my huge takeaways was like I stepped out and I realized like they don't have a door on their house or anything and everything's opened up. And that just reminded me of kind of the life that I feel like we're called to from Jesus is like as we were going through Matthew at church, that not to store up things on earth, but to store up things in heaven. It's like they don't have a lock on their door and they don't have anything to store their things away in.
Yeah.
And that's like everything we do here. You lock your car, you lock your doors, you keep your kids safe at home, and they don't have that option. And they're just like so vulnerable. Yeah.
So this family, every family's a little different, but it sounds like they kind of had a cobbled together house, probably some pallets.
Yep.
And then
pallets and plywood.
Pallets and plywood wrapped around it. And no door, probably a dirt floor.
Yeah.
And that's the home that what did the family look like that you were building? How many mom, dad, kids? What was the?
Yeah, it was a single mom with 2 kids that were 3 and 5.
3 and 5.
Yeah. So it was
Okay.
hard.
And so you got to meet them.
I did, yeah.
That morning,
They're
right?
awesome.
And they're living in this dirt floor, kind of lean-to, slapped together home. And then what YWAM does in Homes of Hope is they pre-select families, and one of the requirements is they have to own the property. So that's really helpful. Is they help them secure a piece of property, and then once that property is secured, they're chosen, and we want to make sure that they can own that home and it's debt free, and they're going to make it happen so they can live there. And then before we get there to the build site, they come and they build a concrete pad. Right? So you showed up and there's this nice square concrete pad, right?
Yeah, it's pretty empty too.
Okay, pretty empty, but you're like, okay, what's going to happen on this concrete pad? And then I love it. What's the first thing you do? Everybody stands on that concrete pad, and what do you do?
We sit in a circle and everyone gives their name and something about them, and then we all prayed together, the first thing.
Yeah, and you got introduced. You met the family who you're building the house for. And then YWAM has a build team that helps you, and they give you the instructions. Did you feel like you knew what to do?
Not at all. I mean, once I got into action, it was good.
You had to build a house, but everybody told you what to do. You weren't like,
you got your
I got to
teams.
figure this out myself.
Right.
So the lumber's there, the tools are there. You didn't really need to bring anything but a positive attitude, right?
Yeah, they gave me all the tools. I even got to wear a belt and act like I knew what I was doing. So that was
there
cool.
you go. Yeah. Stud muffin tool belt.
Yep.
Making it happen. You have to get one, ask one for your 17th birthday and be like, I need a tool belt so I can man out. It'd be good.
Go build a shed in the backyard.
It's good. It's good. And then, so then you break into teams, right? So they break people up into different sections to build. What team were you on?
I did the roof mostly, but me and Ty started out together building the wall, and
Okay.
that was rough.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Building the wall was rough.
He made it
Ty's
hard for
laughing
me.
over here in the back. He thinks, what was rough about building the wall?
I was helping.
Yeah, Ty was getting in the way of everything.
Ty has other gifts. He can pound a drumstick, but he can't pound a hammer
Yeah.
on a nail. God's gifted him in other ways.
I'm glad he can hear what you're saying right
Did you
now.
teach him how to do this? I'm stabbing him in the front. That's what I always say. Is I'll tell him. I never say anything behind his back. I'll tell him right through his face. Did you teach him how to swing a hammer?
No, we learned together.
Oh, you learned together.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So you actually learned some practical
We
skills
did.
too.
Yeah.
And you're able to offer. And then, so was any of it like overwhelmingly difficult or like, I don't know how to do this? Like, was it frustrating or was it feeling like, hey, I know what to do. I can figure out, I can offer help.
No, it was great. We had the sun out, so it was all bright and happy. Everyone's smiling.
Yeah.
You got to see the kids running around playing. And if you didn't know what you were doing, you had any questions, each group had a leader assigned to them where you just go ask them, one of the YWAM leaders that's been doing it for years. And you're like, hey, can you help me out for a minute? And then he comes and he lines it up for you and he says, put a nail in here. And
Yeah.
All right.
That's one thing I think often when we hear go build a home in Mexico, like I'm not a builder, like
Right.
I'm a keyboard warrior. Like what can I do to help? But there's a place for everybody to serve. And then you get to be working along that family. So they probably had this mom and her two kids. I always love because they just get knee deep in paint, don't they?
Yeah. Yep.
They were just covered in paint.
And they'd put their hands in the paint and like put it on people's backs and shirts and everyone's covered. It's like, oh,
Yeah, so it's a real family experience.
It is.
So you're building the house, and probably by the end of day one, you probably had the walls up and the basic roof up, right?
yeah.
How much percentage of the house was done day one?
I'd say over half. I mean,
Half?
day 2 was shorter than day 1 and
Yeah.
we finished it on the second day. But
So you don't work late into the night or anything like that. You put in a good, 6-8 hours at the build site.
yeah.
And then they drive you home, and you get home. Is there like warm showers and
Yep.
Yeah.
You can go take a shower, hang out in your room. You can go hang out with everybody else. They had like pickleball and basketball, and you go
it's like
down
a
to the
resort.
beach.
It's like
Yeah.
Live Good Life. They serve you great dinner.
They do, yeah.
Provide lunch for you at the job site. And then day 2, you go to sleep, wake up the next day, I think tired but full, right? From thinking like I really made a difference in this family. And then day 2, you show up and you finish the house, right? So you're probably on the roof doing the rest of the shingles, doing the trim, those kind of details. And man, you get to the end of the build. Tell me, this is the most meaningful part of every trip for me, is the key ceremony. Tell me about when the house is built. And it's pretty simple. It's, we would call it like a shed in our backyard, but it's solid walls, concrete floor, dry roof. We put a furniture package in there. So there's a sink and a bunk bed, table and chairs,
Yep.
some different things. Some of our
Toys too
teams
for
go
'em.
toys.
Yeah.
We always send a team shopping to go buy some practical needs for them. All this is happening. And then I want you to talk about that key ceremony. Well, what is that like? If somebody's never been there, describe what happens when this house is built.
That might be the most emotional part of the whole trip. Just seeing the family that's standing by the door, and as the key goes around and each person says something, but they have to say it slowly so the translator can translate it.
So let me paint the picture. So you're all done with the house. You're cleaned up with the job site. All the tools are away, and it's taken you 2 days, less than 2 days.
Right.
And the family is there, standing at the front door, and everybody who helped build the house is standing in a big circle.
Yep.
And they lock the door to the house. So like you even said, there wasn't a door
Yeah.
on their house. And one of the things is we put a door with lock and keys on it so they can keep their things safe.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets handed that key, right? So then the door's locked, and then we're standing in a big circle, and everybody takes the key. And what happens? It gets handed around the circle.
Yep. And each person says something that they learned from it and something they appreciated from the family, or just like whatever was on your heart during the trip.
Yeah, words of blessings.
right.
Do you remember what you said around that? When those keys got put in your hand, do you remember what you said?
I remember I talked about how cool it was to watch the kids filled with joy, even with the little that they had, and just such amazing job that she's doing as a mom to be able to provide even what they had there and see that, she's doing well and her kids are doing well. And that I was just really stoked to see them walk into this house and see the kids, the kid walked around with his older brother and he was pointing at the furniture before they went in or after. He's like, "This is my room. This is my bed." And that was like
That's pretty amazing.
a total mind-blowing moment.
Yeah, so the key goes around, and there was probably what 15 to 20 people who involved in that house from the team, and the YWAM people were there. And then, like you said, having your words translated is a whole nother rhythm, isn't it? Right?
You can really think on what you're saying.
You're like, oh, blah, blah. Okay, stop. Let him translate, and then say the next part. And then once everybody hands the key around, we pray a prayer of blessing over the family, and then we ceremonially hand the key to the homeowner. So in this case, it was that mom.
Yeah.
And she opens the door, and what does she do? She goes in with just her and her kids, right?
Yeah.
And they close the door.
Yep.
And we wait for it's a couple minutes, 3-5 minutes.
About 3 minutes.
And so they get to go in and look, and so they haven't seen it before. They were involved in day one, but they're not really involved in day two. So they don't see the finishing touches and all the furniture package. And they spend about 5 minutes kind of in there. And then what's everybody doing outside while you're waiting for them to have their couple moments in the home?
Oh, I mean, I remember we had a piñata. I don't know how often you guys do that.
Yeah, we'd make it into a party. It's because the community in the neighborhood comes around often to celebrate with what's going on. And then once that homeowner's in the house for the first time, what do?
We knock on the door.
We knock on the door, and we get to be those who just helped build this house. You get to be the first guests in their home. What was that like? You said, look at this kid walking around. Tell me about what was going on in this mom and these kids' faces as they get to be in this home.
They were just kind of, you could see like they were extremely shocked. They didn't really know how to feel. It's like something they never had before.
Yeah.
And it's an experience that I know I've never had, and I wouldn't know how to put it to words, and I still don't. But she kind of opened up a little bit after this whole process of 2 days with her. You know, she didn't talk a whole lot, or I didn't spend time with her. I was on the roof. So
yeah.
But hearing her open up and just tell a little bit about her story at the end, and you could see she was kind of letting go of what she was holding on to a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was just neat.
We pray for them and we give them a Bible. And I've been at those, and I've seen many families come to Jesus that day as an act of generosity. Or I remember one home build I was a part of is that the dad of that home was just weeping. He said, "I've been praying for a way to provide for my family for 10 years, and I didn't know how to do it." And he looked at all of us. He said, "You're the answer to my prayer."
Yeah.
It's like, woo. Is there dry eyes around that circle?
No, not really.
Everybody's just a mess, emotional mess.
Yeah.
It's super powerful. And so I love that. It's a fun environment, celebration.
It is, yeah.
So Kedrick, you got to go on this big trip, build a house, be a part of something like that. Maybe kind of step back. You've been home for a couple of months. What are some of the things that you're going to remember for the rest of your life? What are some of the things that Jesus did in your life on this trip?
I think there's a lot to get from the trip itself and seeing like this family in need. But even like just the time spending with your friends, something I learned that was huge was there was kind of this mishap in my little cabin or little room with one of our buddies where, we thought we were being funny and we did something and it hurt his feelings. And even just like a little thing that if I wasn't in Mexico, I wouldn't have had that experience as a reminder of like my humor is not the same as everybody else's. But the big thing I got from the trip in general is, why am I not more generous? Huh. And having that trip funded by the church was because of generosity, and them providing us dinner or providing us lunch on the second day when they have so little already. Like, I don't know that my family being here in Washington with a house that we own, that's more than just shackles and a tarp over the top. Like, I don't see my family ever providing for that.
Yeah.
Or for a family.
I forgot to talk about on day 2 of the house build, when you're finishing the house, the homeowners provide lunch for all the workers, because we want to give them a sense of empowerment, and they're not just getting a handout, but they're a part of this. And I've had some of the best fish tacos of my life from Honer. What did she make for you?
We had tamales.
Yeah. Oh, those are hard work too.
They were really
good.
They were crazy.
Ty's over here in a food coma. A tamale coma. And so it's really a sense of pride.
It is,
like serving you, because you've been serving them.
Right.
And then they get to serve you.
Well, it's cool to see kind of how they made it too, because they were making fried chicken too.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I've never seen how it's made or if they just make it different.
You just get your
But
fried chicken
it was
from
kinda cool.
KFC or QFC. Like it actually has to be fried and buttered. There you go. Kendrick's learning about missions and fried chicken. This is international experience right here for this young man. Okay, great. How about maybe in your heart? What's something that Jesus just kind of did in you, and how are you different?
A lot more patience.
Okay.
And just over these last couple weeks, as I've been thinking like through Matthew and thinking about Mexico and just the way that how is my life reflecting what my heart is. And when I read, even just today, I was reading through how your eyes are a lamp to your body.
Yeah.
And I was going through this book that I have with the discipleship groups at the church. And it was kind of an example that your eyes are a flashlight of your heart. That it's not that, because I always thought my eyes, what I look at, I have to guard what I look at because that's going to become my heart. But the truth of it is what's in your heart is shown through your eyes.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like
It's good.
something I've been meditating on.
God kind of made a deposit in your heart
Yeah.
on this trip. And so it's changing you, transformation, right? That's what we talk about. You're a different guy for sure. So maybe for a couple of things, Kendrick, would you talk to maybe a young person, high school, middle school kid? I think we got another trip coming in 2027. We're aiming for. We were doing it every other year, but we're going to try to do every year with our youth ministry, or even an adult. And they're like wrestling with the scared of fear, don't have a passport. Is it worth it? What would you tell them? Would you say, hey, you need to, what would you tell them?
I'd tell them that I heard a lot of different stories of what it's like, and you got to experience it yourself. I mean, you can listen to how cool other people's stories were or how lame it sounded, but everybody's story is a little different and everybody's experience looks different. So go and find your own and go and live your own life, because you got to stay in your lane and keep your eyes forward.
So would you tell them to go?
I'd 100% say
okay, tell them to go.
Yeah.
Good, man. I think that's awesome. And I think Jesus will change your life. Take that step of faith. And then maybe, as particular as a student, you're 16 years old. I think most parents really love and want to keep their kids protected. It's kind of our job.
We're safe.
Yeah,
it's a safe place.
What would you tell the moms and dads about the trip? Did you ever feel like you were in danger?
Nope, not at all. I mean, other than when I was in the car and headed down the road.
He was perfectly safe. It was fine. But yeah, I think that's often, and not just travel, but I think even in our discipleship, right? Fear often keeps us from taking that steps of obedience. And following Jesus is not safe.
No.
It's never been safe. Jesus never promised that. He says, yeah, in this world you'll have problems. You'll have troubles. But take heart, I've overcome the world. And so much of fear, anxiety, worry, lack of control can keep us from stepping into all those things. So, man, Kendrick, I'd love to just thank you for sharing your story and hear more about it. And I know people they'd love to hear more. You'd love to tell them more about what's going on. So proud of you, what God's done in your life. Thanks, Dad and Stepmom, for letting Kendrick go. I hope you see the investment of a transformation. And I tell every parent, send your kids to Mexico. You will, in the long run, save money because they don't want as many things, because they'll see people who live without, and they'll be like, yeah, maybe I don't need those $300 shoes. Yeah, maybe what I have is enough. Seeing that people live in very different realities around the world. So, man, so proud of you, what God's doing in your life and who God is forming you to be. And, man, I just want you to know this. I have my eye on you. I'm seeing what God's doing in your life. Proud of you. Keep growing, keep pushing, and I'm excited to see what God's going to do in and through you. So, church, thanks for your generosity. And when you give, you're investing in lives transformed, like this young guy who, man, I've just watched. We couldn't even take time to tell the stories about how God has transformed your life and heart. And wouldn't it be great if we can invest in the next generation? And maybe for some of us who made a lot of mistakes, and it takes a lot of time to undo the mistakes in our life, what if we didn't have to make those mistakes because we met God, we had people invest in us, and we lived the life God called us to from a young age, and we didn't have a lot of regret and sin, all this messed up stuff to heal from, and we could just follow Jesus and be obedient. But thanks for your generosity, church. And this guy's going to be more generous because of you. So moms and dads, He's back and he's alive. He's still good.
Send your kids.
Send your kids. All right. Hey, love you. Believe in you. Thanks for your generosity. God bless.